My name is Addison Bruns, and this is my financial news presentation. I'm currently a junior here at Emporia's Kansas City campus, and I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree in business administration. I found this video on Wall Street Journal regarding Puerto Rico's current financial standing.
Been living under the cloud of a shrinking economy and growing IOUs. It faces repayments on more than $70 billion in debt that the island's government says it lacks the cash to cover. It got in this position due to a decline in population and lower tax revenues from a recession, leading the island's government to pay for public services using debt, which U.S. Congress allows it to issue tax-free. Some schools and hospitals have already been closed, and some police and firefighters have been laid off. Now, its financial crisis is moving to a new level, the island's government deciding to not make most of a $422 million debt payment due on Monday. Governor Alejandro Padilla issued an executive order suspending debt payments, blaming his predecessors and U.S. Congress. Those who took and spent those loans did not leave a repayment source, he says. We were forced to take emergency measures in light of Congress's inaction. Why is he blaming Congress? And why does Puerto Rico now need Congress's help? Cities and counties can declare bankruptcy. States cannot. And in this regard, Puerto Rico is treated like a state. It's also not a country, so it can't turn to the International Monetary Fund for assistance. Democrats are warning of dire consequences.
San Juan will be ablaze
if the U.S. doesn't come to the rescue.
The more they delay, and the more that Republicans drag their feet, the more likely it is that a bailout becomes the only option.
In other words, unless a debt restructuring plan is enacted, U.S. taxpayers could end up bearing the burden. House Speaker Paul Ryan is trying to push a plan through Congress that would create a federal oversight board with powers to approve or reject local budgets and to approve plans for court-supervised debt restructuring. But he faces opposition on the right and left, from critics who say Congress getting involved in solving a state or territory's debt issues would set a bad precedent. What happens if Congress does nothing? Puerto Rico's public services erode. Creditors could sue the struggling island to get what's owed to them, and bondholders could be hurt.
Puerto Rico is facing a crisis with severe consequences for the lives of 3.5 million American citizens on the island.
In other words, not a very postcard-perfect picture. That's the short answer.
Alright, now that you got some background on Puerto Rico's current financial trouble, I'd like to discuss this in further detail. I found this video particularly interesting because this is a new financial crisis that I have not been aware of in the media. Now, some background on this current situation is that Puerto Rico is considered a U.S. territory, and as of Monday, May 2nd, 2016, they are currently $7 billion in debt. Now, there's many factors that cause this, some in which include decline in population, a lower tax revenue from a 10-year recession. Now, Governor Alejandro Padilla does blame previous government officials and has requested U.S. Congress to step in, because as of this current report, they have missed majority of the $422 million payment that was due on Monday. Now, Puerto Rico has tried to mitigate their debt damages here as they've closed schools, closed hospitals, laid off police officers and firefighters in hopes to decrease this debt. Now, some options Puerto Rico believes they have is basically that U.S. Congress needs to step in. Now, due to their standing as a U.S. state, they cannot declare bankruptcy, and unfortunately, since they're not a country, they cannot reach out to the International Monetary Fund for assistance. Now, the U.S. government, there are some that are in favor of this assistance to Puerto Rico, as they believe that developing a debt restructuring plan will assist. Now, this can help their public services in Puerto Rico and protect the 3.5 million Americans currently living there. Now, there are officials that are opposed to this assistance, as a bailout to Puerto Rico would have an extremely negative effect on U.S. taxpayers, increasing what we would pay. Now, if Congress does step in to assist Puerto Rico, this will set a precedent to other states that they also can receive assistance, and ultimately, this is not something Congress wants. Now, there has been a negative effect as a result of this territory's debt. The debt to gross domestic product ratio is about 68%, and due to this, the American credit rating agencies has downgraded the government's debt to a non-investment grade. Now, the reason that this is concerning and has a negative effect is due to the fact that the United States economy, as well as Puerto Rico, is considered a financial market. Now, a financial market is a system that includes individuals, institutions, instruments, and procedures that bring together borrowers and savers no matter the location. Now, regardless of which outcome Congress chooses by either providing a bailout to Puerto Rico, and this would cause the citizens' taxes to rise, or to not get involved, and this would cause Puerto Rico, as well as the citizens living there, to keep declining. Now, in my opinion, I believe that there is a direct effect on us regardless of what the Congress decides due to the United States and Puerto Rico standing as financial markets. Now, this debt is unchangeable at this point. Now, many different financial markets exist amongst the United States as well as Puerto Rico, all in which include institutions and individuals that are in a developed economy. Now, this current financial struggling of Puerto Rico affects the stocks, bonds, mortgages, and all cash flows and future financial outlooks for both the United States as well as Puerto Rico, and ultimately, this could have a negative effect on us as citizens and our current financial standing. Thank you.